Hey guys, this is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and in today's tip video, I'm going to show you how you can move over from Dotloop to DocuSign. So if your Keller Williams Market Center is now ending a contract with Dotloop and moving over to DocuSign, okay, I'll show you the best practices on how to go ahead and prepare your command account to go ahead and hit the ground running with DocuSign. So first thing we need to do is log into command if you're not already. So that's agent.kw.com. So you can see that on my top address bar, and we can go ahead and log in. So again, that's agent.kw.com to log into command. We'll need our username and our password here, and you can click sign in. Of course, feel free to pause the video if you are still working on logging in. But we do need to go ahead and make sure that our DocuSign account and Dotloop account are linked to your command settings. So if you'd like to follow along with me, I'm going to check on that by clicking on my name on the top right, and then click settings from that dropdown. So again, I clicked on my name on the top right, and then settings from that dropdown. So if we are going to convert over from from Dotloop to DocuSign, there is a Dotloop import tool that will allow you to pull all of your loops over into command, and it will now give you the option to either use DocuSign or continue using Dotloop. All right, so typically from this list, you'll see DocuSign, and it might be further down if you don't already have that connected to your command account, right? All my connected apps are at the top. But typically you'll have to go in and add Dotloop to this list from the marketplace. All right, so I'm going to show you that real quick. There is a little trick to it. So if you click on the marketplace icon on the top right here, it looks like a little storefront on the top right of your command account. It'll open that in a different tab, and this is kind of like the App Store on your phone, right? We can search for other apps to add to your command account. So the first thing that you want to do, and this just has worked best for me in the past, when you hover over your name on the top right of your account, right, or if that says your market center name or team name maybe, right, hover over your name and then click on your name from that list. It will refresh your marketplace to ensure that it knows that you're the user right now, and that will then allow you to search for Dotloop on the top right. It'll pull up the Dotloop app, so I can click on that. And I already have this added, but it should say activate for you on the top right. And it might bring you into, to like agree to some terms, and to, it looks like it's bringing to charge you, but it's all $0, 0 cents. So you can just click it to accept that. And then it will bring you to add the Dotloop icon to your apps in command. And if you're not getting the option to activate, if it says request instead, if it does not say activate, make sure you hover over your name on the top right and click on your name again. That seems to be necessary to give you the option to activate it. Just a heads up. And if you need those steps, I'll include a little tip video in the description of this YouTube on how to do that if you need step-by-step instruction. And you can also email support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we are more than happy to do that for you. So just let us know if you have any issues with it. But the goal is you just want to see this Dotloop app here, and you want to click Connect Account to make sure your Dotloop account is linked to command. Same concept for DocuSign here. We do want to go ahead and make sure that's connected. You should already see DocuSign from this list here. You might have to scroll down though. But you want it to say connected. If it does not, you can click Connect Account. If you do not have a DocuSign account, make sure you're creating it from here specifically. And of course, I'll include a little tip video on how to do that in the description of this YouTube video, and you can email support@scottleroymarketing.com if you'd rather us just handle it for you. We're happy to. All right, so that's all the boring housekeeping we have to do. We have DocuSign and Dotloop linked up in my command settings. So now I can hit the ground running. I can come on over to the opportunities section of my command account. So on the left side menu, you'll want to click on the icon that looks like a handshake. Those are your opportunities. And you can go ahead and import in any loops that you might have. Now, you'll only really want to do this with your active loops. I mean, you can do that with more than just your active loops, but it's really only necessary for active loops that are still working on closing. So those are the ones that you'll want to add to your command account. Any closed loops that you have, you can keep in your Dotloop account. Okay, even if your office is ending their agreement with Dotloop, you will still have access to all of your previous loops. You just won't be able to add more. Okay, so I'll say that one more time, it's really important. Again, you'll only really want to import your active loops into your command account, into the opportunities, ones that still need to close. Any past sold loops that you have, you can keep in your Dotloop account because you will retain access to those loops, even if your office is ending their contract. I would highly suggest downloading all the forms in there though too as well to your computer. Doesn't ever hurt to have a backup, so I'd always encourage that. All right, so let's go ahead and click the import option on the very top right. From here, since I'm on a team, I have two different pipelines. If you're not on a team, you'll most likely only see your name. So you can go ahead and click on which pipeline you'd like this loop to be imported to. And it'll show you your Dotloop profiles on the right-hand side. So I'll click on the profile name that I want to import the loop from and click continue. So from there, it will show you a list of all of your loops, and depending on how many loops that you have, you can scroll on the top right. You can also sort these by clicking on, the created option here, and that will resort it in ascending or descending order, the most recently created and so forth. So that's a helpful tip here. Same with the close date or address. You can also search on the top if you want to search by status or type. So the status, right? If that's sold or, active, pre-offer and so forth, or the type, if it's a sale or a listing, right? So you can search for your listings that way. It does typically help if the address is entered into the loop first. So if you are seeing, it just says address and it just says the country, it really has trouble pulling into command without the address. So I would definitely suggest going into your Dotloop account first and just right under the loop name, click on view details, I believe it says, and you'll be able to enter in the property address there, right? And that will then allow you to pull that into command easier. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the check mark to the left of whichever loop I want to import into command. And I can click import selected. Right, you can note you can select up to 25 loops at a time. I would definitely suggest doing smaller batches in my opinion, just because typically you have to edit each one, and I'll show you what that looks like here. If I click on import selected on the bottom right, it'll bring me to this page here. So it'll let me know how many were imported successfully, how many could not be imported. If you're getting any that say they could not be imported, that's typically because the view details section in your loop is not complete enough, like the address is not there like I was talking about. So again, go into your loop right under the loop name at the very top, click on, I believe it says view details, and you'll be able to fill in the property address there, save, and then try again, and it should work for you. But this is typically what I get, that I need to review it. I need to make sure that the address is correct. So I'll go ahead and click review now on the bottom to go ahead and fix this up. All right, so first thing I need to fill out, I do have to fill out anything with the red star, the red asterisk. So I'll go ahead and select that this was a listing. And then I can go ahead and select the seller's name. Just a heads up, if you can't remember if it was a listing or a buyer, whatever the case may be, if your clients are not pulling up from this dropdown, the reason is the opportunity type is most likely incorrect, right? So if you don't see, if it says no options when you're trying to select your client from this list, it's probably because the wrong opportunity type is selected. So try to switch that up. It should show your client from Dotloop in that dropdown. That's where it's pulling it from your loop. Estimated close date, not required. We can fill that in. And this is what it really needs you to do. You need to make sure this address is valid. So I'll go through here, let's say country. Just gonna use. All right, so I'm verifying the address and clicking submit on the bottom. All right, so everything looks okay here. I don't have really any error messages, so I'll click save and exit on the very bottom. Now, if that is something that needs to go on your pipeline, all right, so I usually most easily find that in the all opportunities first. So I'll go ahead and click on all opportunities on the very top. From there, I can search for the opportunity. So you can search for that by address, the opportunity name. In this case, I'm going to do contacts. So there it is. Here's that opportunity that I brought in. And so I'll click on it. I know that was a little fast, guys. So of course, feel free to pause the video, rewind it as needed, so you can catch up. That's how I learn best as well. All right, but where we are, just in case I lost you, I'm in the opportunities section under all opportunities. And I'm using this search bar on the very top left to search for that opportunity I just imported. So you can pick, let's say I want to do it by the contact name. So there it is. And I can simply click on the opportunity name. So anytime you see this blue font, that means it's clickable in Command. So you can click on that to open it up. It will show me all the details that I have. This is all pulling from the loop. Now, if you want this to go on your pipeline, depending on where it is, so you'll see right here, the phase and stage is closed, right? Because this was a closed loop I brought over. But again, typically you'll want to do this for your active ones. So if you need to change where that sits on your pipeline, you can always click on the pencil icon to go ahead and edit that. There we go. So opportunity phase, if that needs to be, let's say, active instead. So that's the opportunity phase, which is under the contact name. Okay, that'll give you the option to move the opportunity wherever you need it to be on your pipeline. So you can designate if it's active, an appointment, under contract. And then depending on what you pick for this first drop down, the opportunity stage will update there. And I can click save. Okay, so again, that's if you need to change where this opportunity sits on your pipeline in the opportunity section. You can always click the pencil icon on the very top right of the details. It's kind of the top center there. And then it will allow you to change the opportunity phase and opportunity stage to allocate where you want that on your pipeline. Okay, so let's get into the burning question of now accessing your documents from Dotloop and also DocuSign. So if you could join me, I am clicking on the Documents option on that white toolbar. And from the Documents section, this is where you would go ahead and access either DocuSign or Dotloop. So on the right-hand side, you'll see it says Start a Transaction, and you have two options. I have two options because I have both DocuSign and Dotloop linked to Command. All right, if you only have one or the other, well, you'll only see one of those options. So if you are converting over to DocuSign, which is what this tip's on, you can go ahead and click on the DocuSign option from here. And as long as your DocuSign account is linked up to Command, we can go ahead and put in my DocuSign login and password. And then it will take me into a DocuSign room, okay, and that's what so DocuSign rooms would be the equivalent of a loop in Dotloop. So there are rooms in DocuSign. So it takes me into DocuSign and automatically creates a room with the address name, right? That's the same name that I had in Dotloop. Here's my expected closing date. And I would now be able to add future forms. So at this point, I'm only moving forward, right? So I only need to add forms to DocuSign that I still need to be signed by my clients. If they are already previously signed in your Dotloop account, in that loop we just brought over, hang tight to that question. I'm going to show you what to do with those. All right, but in your DocuSign room, now moving forward, we only need to add forms to your room that you need to be signed moving forward or need to be filled out moving forward. All right, let me show you what you do with your forms that are already signed, already executed, and we just need to submit those for review to your Market Center. All right. So this is one of the biggest differentiations that help me make sense of the new system. So how this differs from Dotloop, whereas you used to add all of your documents to Dotloop and submit that to your Market Center for review, all from Dotloop, that's changing a little bit. Okay, now instead, DocuSign is being used to correspond with your clients, to fill out your forms and get them electronically signed. So you'll work with your clients and between the agent and the client in DocuSign, whereas you'll work with your Market Center to submit your executed forms for review in your command opportunity. So if you could join me, I'm going to switch tabs. So on the top of your browser, I'm switching to the tab that has a KW icon. It should say Command Documents. All right, and this is where we just were. This is where we clicked Go to Transaction or Start a Transaction in order to go to DocuSign. So now the topic is, how do we add our executed forms, our past signed forms? How do we submit that to our Market Center for review? So you'll see here on the left-hand side, it says imported from Dotloop. So these are my forms that are pulled over when I imported the loop, right, into a command. Right, these are the forms, my executed forms, and they're in this custom folder. Now, in order to submit your forms for review, on the left-hand side, you'll see Pick Checklist Type. So go ahead and click on that. And these checklists are added in by your office staff, so your checklists will look different than mine. However, we can go ahead and click on whichever one you think would apply best. And it will then bring up a bunch of folders on the left-hand side. So if you picked on a listing one, it might have like listed, under contract, closed, or something of the sort. Again, this is created by your Market Center staff, so it's a little different. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a bunch of form placeholders. So these are not the forms themselves. These are just, it's kind of like a checklist of what forms you need to add in order to submit to your Market Center for review to get your closing check. All right. So what we'll do from here is we can either click Add a File on the right-hand side to do this one at a time, or I like to do Attach Multiple Files on the top in order to bulk do this. So if I click Attach Multiple Files, I then have three options at the top here. So I can manually add those executed forms. So if you have the signed copy of the form on your computer, you can drag and drop it or click right here to pull that in from your computer, from your files. You can pull that in from DocuSign. All right, so right, as I showed you in DocuSign, let's say we got some extra forms signed in DocuSign and we now need to add that to our opportunity. We can go ahead and click on that from this list. All right, we would be able to click select and it would have all our signed forms right from there we could click on. In this case though, we're talking about the custom folders. So if you click on custom folders, right, on the bottom left, this is where we were referring to that custom folder that imported from Dotloop, and I have that little 2, right, that shows me the 2 executed forms that pulled over from Dotloop. So I can easily submit that to my Market Center for review by clicking on custom folders here. And then I can go ahead and allocate, okay, this is the exclusive right to sell. I need to link that up. And let's say this is the other one. And I can click attach. So there it is, right? So that was pulling it from this custom folder into my listing folder. And once I do that, right, once I add in forms, it then gives me the option to submit to my MC for review. And that's how your Market Center is now doing compliance review, right, from command. Right, so if this button is grayed out, that's just because you don't have any forms added quite yet. Right? But if you need help adding those forms, please feel free to let us know. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have on this process of converting over from DocuSign to Dotloop. I will include also the 20-minute overview on how to use DocuSign and command start to finish. Right, this is showing you how to convert from Dotloop to DocuSign. But the next thing you'll need to know is how to use DocuSign start to finish to do a transaction in command. So I'll include the 20-minute overview in the description of this YouTube video. So check under this video for that and let us know if you have questions. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.